I'm delighted to say, as always, our second week of WSL is back. We had to get Uma Gurav back on the show. Uma, I know you're on holiday, but people like us don't really take a holiday. How are you? How's the holiday going?
Oh, it's been lovely. Yeah, it's nice to watch the WSL from maybe a slightly sunnier place than England at the moment. But yeah, I'm completely immersed in it. God, it feels like the season's been going for a while now, doesn't it? What a weekend that was. After game two, we've got United sitting top of the table with, unfortunately, London City Lionesses at the bottom. But, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But let's start with Friday's fixtures because there was, again, a shaky start for Man City against Brighton, who have been, really good the last couple of seasons. Stunner of a goal from Frank Kirby. We know her, we love her. And we've spoken about this before, but I think for Man City, it looks like, again, I know they've got a new manager. They've kind of having this new approach to everything, but it looks like it's going to be a roller coaster of a season for them. And did you see anything to really kind of give you confidence?
Do you know what? Man City are this weird team that last year I was thinking when everybody was fit and healthy after they beat Barcelona at home, I was thinking they were then going to go on to win everything. They're a strange side because they're a good side. They've got fantastic players. I love Hasegawa, Miedema, Bunny Shaw. The list could go on. Alex Greenwood. But I just think sometimes at the end of the day, they got the 3 points. That's all that matters. Coming from behind as well was a really good strike from Frank Kirby. But I just think, yeah, they're a strange side, aren't they, really? Like they always seem to kind of underwhelm, but then they kind of go on, do they go under the radar? Do we critique them enough? Yes, new coach, so maybe give him a little bit of time because I used to often talk about Gareth Taylor quite a lot. And I felt like in his tenure, people wasn't really talking about, I feel like he got sacked at a time when it wasn't really the timing. Whereas beforehand, they've invested a lot of money. Everyone talks about lack of investment in the women's game. And I think City have invested for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, we always say it, but you look at that City team and it's just too much talent for the not enough trophies, basically. The likes of Alex Greenwood, Lauren Hemp, you think these kind of players need to be winning not just the WSL, but in Europe. You mentioned that Barcelona game. You mentioned Yui Hasegawa there. I think perhaps she might be the most underrated player in the WSL, and we never talk about her. But when City, oh no, we talk about her a lot. But when City
Yeah.
announced Hasegawa had signed her contract extension on deadline day, I think that was seen as one of the best bits of business in the window for a WSL side. That was only her third club goal, but did she kind of prove just how important she is to that team?
Yeah, I think sometimes these types of players that play kind of those kind of less glamorous roles because, she often goes down as a defensive midfielder. But for me, she's that pivot player that kind of connects the 10 between the midfield as well and the back line. Japanese international, 28 years old. She's in her prime of her career. And I agree with you. I don't think people talk about her enough. I think the people that know and watch the game enough will talk about her. But people that just watch the women's game on the surface, they kind of will talk about, certain players like Alessia Russo, like we do. They'll talk about Lauren James. They'll talk about certain players like Leah Williamson, but they won't get a little bit deeper. And I think with Hasegawa, if you watch the WSL and if you watch the game in its entirety, you will see the quality of Hasegawa.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for her on this show for sure. Great player. I'm a huge fan. The other game that happened on Friday, of course, was West Ham against Arsenal. I think Arsenal might be taking this whole comeback Queen's title bit thing a bit too literally. I mean, they're giving a lot of us Arsenal fans some scary moments. I mean, that Van Domselaar goal, she'll want to forget that for sure. But in the end, quality shone through. The players they've got, just bringing so much talent off the bench. What did you make of that? I mean, is it a concern that they've now conceded twice very early on, giving away goals they really shouldn't be giving away?
I'm not concerned because they've scored 9 goals in 2 games, but I'm shaking my head, Uma, because West Ham are my team that I tipped to be not like up there. That wasn't the tip. The tip was that I thought they'd be doing okay because they seemed to pick up momentum towards the end of the season last year. I was quite critical of them early on, but I think wouldn't say it was a concern of mine that Arsenal keep going behind, but I think sometimes it takes a little while to work out some type of team, doesn't it? Like every team's different this year. They've still got the same players, but maybe they're playing with a different system and those types of things. But yeah, Arsenal have just been really dominant, really, really dominant. And when you look at the roster and the style of players. Like Olivia Smith was on the bench. Chloe Kelly wasn't available. She had picked up an injury. I think it was precautionary, so she wasn't even in the squad. And the fact they have these players, Alessia Russo seems like she is that main player now, which I don't think she was on the owner side of Val. It was Blackstenius was coming off the bench. And to be fair to Blackstenius, like she's done well. She comes on the bench, off the bench, and she scores, has a good attitude. So fair play to Arsenal, but like the Olivia Smith rotation, I'm intrigued to see how this is all going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, to see Alessia Russo playing with confidence and freedom is just so gratifying. And you mentioned Arsenal's attacking lineup. It's terrifying for any other team. Olivia Smith and someone we also kind of talked about a lot on this show is Caitlin Ford. Her 100th
Yeah.
WSL appearance, topped off with a goal, of course. What a player she is. Sometimes I guess she does fly under the radar a bit because you've got so many of the big names at Arsenal. And I was thinking about this. Are you at all concerned for her, perhaps, with the likes of Russo, Blackstenia, Smith, the depth they've got now on the wings as well with Smith and Kelly? Do you think there's a possibility that she might not be happy not starting week in, week out?
Caitlin Ford.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't think she will be that player. I think it'll be. I know Beth Mead started at the weekend. This is going to be one of Renee Steggers' biggest conundrums and biggest problems. It's a good problem to have, but keeping everyone happy. Like I've said many, many times, I'm surprised Beth Mead didn't move on because I thought her playing time would be limited this year as it was last year. And if they're playing in these types of games where, say, less opposition, West Ham, I think if this is against Chelsea, Olivia Smith starts this game, doesn't she? I think Caitlin Ford, there was a period of time, and I said this to Caitlin last year myself. I said, I'm so happy that you stayed after the Champions League final. I said it to her on the pitch because I was like, there was a period of time where she wasn't playing. You know, she was playing different positions because she can play anywhere, Caitlin Ford, anywhere, front, back, wherever. And she's again one of those players that keeps saying it. Does she go under the radar of Arsenal fans? No. But does she go under the radar world football wise? Yes. A bit like Steph Catley, Emily Fox, Katie McCabe. Emily Fox has been unbelievable since she's come from America, from North Carolina Courage. So, like, that type of thing. No one really talks about those types of players because everyone's focused on the front line. And as a former forward, I'm okay with that. But I think the women's game has changed now where people can watch the games and make their own assessment of players. So I'm not concerned. I know it was a big answer from me, but I'm not concerned for Caitlin Ford's, selection because she's one of those players you have to have in the team for me.
Yeah, completely agree. And it'll be interesting to see, obviously, when the Champions League, League Cup come into play, obviously these players suddenly have such a big workload and it doesn't become so much of a problem. But yeah, one to watch for sure. Now let's talk about Aston Villa, who lost to Chelsea 3-1. But actually, I think not necessarily the game some of us were expecting. I'm just going to say I did, in fact, predict that exact scoreline.
I know, it was about, when I saw the predictions, I was thinking, wow, like, not that we were spot on, but
I know.
you were really close, much closer than me.
I know. Well, we'll
What do
do some
I
more
know?
this week. You can redeem yourself. But yeah.
Think I'm
But
retiring after that.
no, it's all right. It's the early days yet. But yeah, I think Chelsea, they faced a tougher fight than they'd expect. Villa have been up and down the last couple of seasons. Do you think it's kind of Chelsea just settling in? They've obviously got some new players. They brought, Sam Kerr off the bench, Alyssa Thompson, or are they actually kind of a different side this season?
I mean, different side, yes and no. I think they have obviously added to their team with the players you just mentioned. But I think there was times last year. I mean, they went a whole season unbeaten last year, and there was a period of time at Christmas where they like drew two games. I think it was one against Leicester, and like everyone was saying, "Oh, they should be winning these games," 5-6-0. And it was like, let's just calm down. 7 titles in a row. Like, yes, they want to win the Champions League again. It's a great problem to have, but team selection, Gira Wrighton came into the lineup. Ritten Katerid came into the lineup. Katerina Macario plays. Like who plays where? Aggie Beaver Jones has been that mainstay in the nine, which I'm quite surprised because last year in and out the lineup. But it's like when everyone's fit and healthy, it's going to be interesting to see where this is going to go in the WSL because the amount of individuals they have on Arsenal for me and Chelsea, if the team selection is right and you keep players happy, then yeah, I mean, but Chelsea again, 3-1, yes, conceding a goal, they won't be happy with that. But again, they shone through, didn't they?
They did, and someone who certainly shone through. I know she's not a new signing, but it felt like it when she burst back onto the pitch after 637 days out. Welcome back, Sam Kerr. Her 100th goal for Chelsea on her return. You couldn't have written it better. What do you think that goal will have meant for her, and what's her return going to be like in the long term?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, hasn't it? 2 years almost for Sam Kerr. And it was one of those ones where everyone's kind of asking, where is she? I mean, similar to Viviana Miedema, she was out for like a year and a half. But the club wasn't really doing, and then obviously had that other stuff off the field to play as well. But like, everyone was asking, where is she? And there wasn't really any answers, was there? Like, they wasn't really announcing that she had any setbacks or anything like that. But for her to score in that way, yes, it was a scrappy goal, but who cares? Who cares? If I'm Sam Kerr, like, that would be in your mind. When you've come back from an injury, like I was out for nearly 2 years with my ACL injury and my meniscus. And in your mind, you're always thinking, am I going to be the player that I was before. It's literally something you feel confident because you wouldn't be out there if you didn't, but you still start thinking, can I run the same? Have I got my turn of direction and those types of things? And now for her to get that goal, I think it will work wonders for her confidence. It was fantastic to see Sam Kerr, like, yes, she's back, but not only is she back, you see the reaction from her teammates, how much that meant to them that she scored. It was very much a unified thing, and it was things you love to see.
So let's move on now to talk about a game. I don't actually enjoy talking about these two teams at the moment because they are just struggling a lot. Liverpool, Leicester. Obviously, it was Leicester who came out on top in the end. Foxes were reduced to 10 players. They were completely outplayed in the first half. They didn't even have a permanent manager, and yet it was still Liverpool who lost that one. They are in trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, it was a poor game overall, but I think nobody expected this one to be an absolute belter. I think for both these teams, we've said it on the show in our preview, they're both going to be battling down the bottom. I was delighted for Emily Van Egmond, making that move from Birmingham. She's a real good pro. She's played in different countries. She's played in America, and now she's back at Leicester playing in the WSL. I think the O'Brien red card, obviously the second yellow was probably for dissent, but it was still it was harsh, but I think it was a correct decision. But like the fact they still went on to win the game, it looks Liverpool don't look great, do they? And we've said it so many times. A lot of people are saying it on socials as well that they just haven't invested the money from Olivia Smith, and it just seems that they're going into games. Yes, they've got players, like Gemma Bonner still there, fantastic pro, fantastic person, but you need more. You look at where's the goals going to come from. Enderby, is she going to get on the score sheet? Olsen coming from the right hand side. You've got Kerr in there as well. Like, what is their identity? So they should have strengthened in the window, and I think that's going to be their biggest downfall. Wasn't a great game though.
It wasn't. And, the other thing is, obviously they brought in Gareth Taylor, who has a history of some success, certainly. And I think the problem is what you don't want to happen now is for him to be blamed for their current situation because he's not got enough to work with. I genuinely don't think it's his fault. Even if he, came in and did the best that he could do, there's only so much you can do when your club haven't signed anyone. And that's very much on Liverpool. But another team who actually aren't doing as well as I think we all thought they would do, London City Lionesses. They currently sit bottom. It was a bit of a thrashing, 5-1 win for Man United. And yes, the first two games have been really tough to go up against Arsenal and United in your first two games in the WSL. It's not ideal, perhaps, but is this a question of them just needing more time to gel? They've got 17 new signings, or is it kind of actually they just don't have the talent here?
I don't think they have the talent. And to be honest, I love Michelle Kang and I love what she's trying to do. Conceded 9 goals in 2 games. Yes, it was against Arsenal and Manchester United, but I think everyone was getting a bit carried away. Remember what I said on the show? People love to remind me when I get things wrong or predictions wrong and those types of things. But when I get it right, no one really wants to say anything. And I said that they would stay up. Some people are saying they're going to be in the top 4. Some people are saying they're challenging for the title. I'm like, on what planet? Like, don't get me wrong. I love the fact they're giving it a go. It reminds me of Nottingham Forest men, right? And I hate to draw the comparisons, but when they brought in, it was like 22 signings during the transfer window over a year ago. These things take time. Do I think they've got good players? Yes. Do I think they've got class players? No. They've got really good Kumagai, fantastic professional. But as we've seen, the intensity of the WSL, can she still play at that level? Bringing in Katie Zellum and Alana Kennedy. I like Katie Zellum. I like Alana Kennedy. But like, oh, they got Asalani. Do you know what I mean? Like, they have good players. But for me, it needs to be better. I think the individuals need to be better. It's not just the coach. It's not all his fault. But I think the individuals are not performing to the levels that they can. Goodwin nearly got on the score sheet. I felt a bit sorry for her. She ends up, looked like it went over the line, then it didn't. Nikita Paris, scored a consolation. So they have good enough players, but I just think everyone's getting a bit carried away.
Yeah, we'll see how they do against Everton, who are perhaps a better match for them this weekend. But full credit to Man United, of course. Jess
Yeah.
Park, so happy for her getting her first goal for Man United. City fans looking, thinking, oh my God, how did we manage to let her go? She also grabbed an assist. She's going to be such a big asset to this side, right?
Yeah, I mean, she looks like she's been there forever. When you see some people in a kit and you think, were you at Man United before? Do you know what I mean? She just looks more natural there. I mean, the goal she scored, that's just parked down to a T. I've seen her do that a couple of times. She scored one of the best goals I've seen in the WSL last season from outside the box at the Emirates. We did it as like goal of the season, I'm pretty sure. And she just looks brilliant. And I think she just looks like she's found her home. As crazy as it sounds, like she's gone to a rival club and she's made them better. So, yeah, fair play to Manchester United because, the fact that Katie Zellum's their former captain is going up against her former team and gets beat 5-1. I've been there myself when I was at Juventus. We played Arsenal in pre-season. So those things do hurt. But I hope they're doing a lot of game tape. I hope they're doing a lot of video and film to go over these things. But yeah, fair play to Manchester United and Mark Skinner and this team because, people were expecting big things from London City Lionesses and Man United put them away again.
Yeah, I think it would be so great for Jess Park's England career as well. And also want to talk about Maya Letitia, her 100th appearance for United. She also scored. Mark Skinner, actually, last week we had him on the show. He told he sees, our other producer, of course, he told her that he sees Maya Letitia as the future of United and of England. Huge statement. Do you think that's true?
I do, but I just don't think Serena Wiegman sees that. I've been saying this for a long time. Even when Esme Morgan came into the lineup in the Euros, I think everybody's been talking about Maya Letitia for a long time. Now she's 23 years old and she really doesn't get the love that she deserves. She's a fantastic player. She can play centre back. She can also play out fullback as well. And at England, sometimes you have to be a bit patient. I get that, but I just don't think Serena sees her in that way. I think Serena values her, but for some reason doesn't see what we see. And in Serena, we trust.
Obviously. We'll have to see if in United we trust, though, because they also have the second leg of their third round Champions League qualifier against Brann on Thursday. They do need to come from behind. They went down 1-0 in the first leg. Bit of a shock. We've got to talk about briefly this boot story that came out. It seems that on the way to Norway,
Oh.
a couple of the players' football boots got lost en route to Norway. And when I saw this, I just thought, oh God, not another one of these stories for United. I mean, I know that this could be a very honest mistake and these things do happen, but the problem is things like this seem to keep happening to Man United women's team. Lisa Nilsson did an interview where she said she had to text her mum to bring some boots. And I know they brought new ones in the end and everything was okay, but what do you kind of make of that as a club, basically?
Yeah, I mean, as a Man United men's fan, like, I think you know how I feel about that. But I think the women's team, you're right, it continues to happen. These types of things consistently, whether it comes to Sir Jim Radcliffe not knowing who Katie Zellum was and she was the captain when he met her, and, the list could go on, the players having to get changed in like porter cabins in the first year. Like, I feel for Mark Skinner a lot of the time because I think people don't know what his backs have been against the wall, losing the best players. Tobin Heath and Kristen Press was there. They were speaking about this a few years ago about everything. Has it got better? Yes. But another thing as well, like there's a lot of stuff that happens within clubs when I play for teams and you keep it internal. Players speaking out about this type of thing. Now, you can't keep it a secret because one shop owner in Norway was buzzing. I think he spoke to a newspaper about it, saying he sold like all these boots. He had a quiet week and all that. So fair play to him. He's making a decent amount of money off of it. But like, why the players are speaking out about it? Yes, they should, but that leads me to believe they want things to change because if something happened on the team I was on, sometimes you just want to keep things internal because you don't want it to be a big media circus because now everyone's talking about it because the players have spoken about it. And like I said, rightfully so, but it's not good enough. I mean, mistakes happen, but they continuously happen with Manchester United women.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. But we will see how they get on in that Champions League and we'll reflect on that next week. The last game, of course, was Everton versus Spurs. I'm going to let you talk about this one properly because I know you've got a very special guest coming up soon. Maz Pacheco will be joining you. You can talk about their first WSL game at Goodison Park. But there's one more thing we have to do because, Lianne, last week we were pretty good on the predictions. I know you said you weren't
Speak
happy,
for
but
yourself.
no, because you did get 4 out of 6 results correct. Obviously, I
Oh,
got, oh yeah, you got 4 results. I obviously got 5 and 2 correct score lines,
yeah,
but
we were pretty good to be fair.
we were very good as a team. But before we go, let's share our predictions for next weekend. This will be interesting. Some interesting games. First one is Everton versus London City Lionesses. What are you going for?
I'm gonna go for 2-2. I think, yeah, I don't know. I just think that they'll both score, and I think this could be a game where London City could get a little bit of confidence
I
potentially.
so nearly put that, but I've written down Everton 2, London City 1. So we will
Okay,
see. Next one is Spurs Man City.
I'm gonna go City 3-1. I think they'll concede.
I've gone City 1-0. I think Spurs look defensively pretty solid, so I don't think City will score too many. Villa Liverpool.
I think this is going to be pretty similar to the game at the weekend, Liverpool Leicester. I'm going to go 1-1 with that one.
Oh, I've gone completely different. I've gone Villa 3-0.
Oh,
I really don't back Liverpool this season, unfortunately.
no, I know what you mean.
I thought Villa looked decent. Ebony Salmon up
Yeah,
front was really good. Brighton West Ham.
I'm going to go Brighton 2-1.
Nice. I've gone for a 1-1. That's got a draw written all over it for
Come on,
me.
Adia, man. Go
Yeah,
banging the
true,
goals.
true, true. I'd enjoy that for my fantasy WSL team. Uh,
Yeah,
Chelsea Leicester.
I mean, sometimes these things have an ability to come back and bite you, but I'm going to go 5-0.
I have written exactly the same thing. I
Really? I
think
was
it
going to
could
say
get
six, to be
nasty.
fair, and that's no disrespect.
I think if they play the way they've been playing so far, it's not going to be good. And
Obviously, 5-0 to Chelsea.
yes, we should clarify. And finally, the big one, Man United versus Arsenal.
I think I'm going to have to go. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a high scoring game again, similar to the one at the Emirates at the end of the season. I'm going to go Arsenal 3-2.
I wrote exactly the same thing, so that must be true.
Wow.
I know.
Honestly, everybody, we don't talk about these
No, we
predictions before we
don't.
go on air. So
That's so
we're on the
weird.
same page. That's why I love you.
I know, me too. It'll be amazing if they come true now as well.
I know. Well,
Manifesting.
thanks so much, Uma, as always. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I'll see you next week.
See you soon, Leanne. Thank you.